My channel is called The Sword and the Pen because I'm a book editor and a fencer. Get it? Sword, pen. I love martial arts movies and well-done fight scenes, but I know that nitpicking the technical realism of fights isn't always necessary. So when I'm critiquing storytelling in books and movies and the like in my videos on this channel, I don't get too deep into the fight scenes, except to make a few general comments here and there. Sometimes, though, I can't help myself, and this is one such case. It was supposed to be like every other review of Amazon's The Wheel of Time I've ever done. This one would cover Season 3, Episode 1, but I accidentally let my fight scene snob loose and ended up with a 2-hour critique of the opening fight scene. I managed to cut it down to just under an hour, but it was still too much for a 9.5-minute scene. Rather than delete it completely, I cut it out of the original review to give it its own space in this video, since not everyone's into this sort of thing. Don't worry, the review of the full episode will come out in a couple days. I just wanted to get this out there as soon as I could. So, in this video, it's just about the fight, breaking it down, pointing out the flaws, and occasionally offering alternative solutions. Just a few things that would come to mind. Now, I'm not an expert fight choreographer, but if I can see major flaws in the fights and come up with better solutions on the fly, why couldn't one of the most expensive shows in the history of television? I'm sure they had a whole team of people working on creating this. They could have done better. Anyway, as you watch, I invite you to post your alternative solutions to these scenes in the comments, because in the endeavor to always improve, finding the flaws is only half the struggle. Coming up with better solutions is the other half. The constructive half. Okay, here's the scenario. We're in Tar Valon. Moraine and Lan are down in the city just looking up at the tower, but then they walk off. Inside the tower, Siuan has called for a meeting of the sitters in the hall, and Liandrin has been summoned to the floor. Off in another part of the tower, Varen is leading Adelaise and Naomi somewhere secret. Naomi doesn't know where or why, and Varen hints that it's part of a contingency plan for if things don't go well in the meeting. Just outside the hall, Alana's warders, Maxime and Yvonne, are worried that Liandrin might have other allies in the tower. They want to go into the meeting with Alana, but Alana reminds them that men aren't allowed without just cause. But not to worry, because Siuan has a plan to ensure that Liandrin can't get help from any other Reds. Liandrin and the 3 Red sitters show up for the meeting, but Liane tells them that the 3 sitters aren't allowed to come because the rule says that only 11 sitters are required for the meeting to happen. So they are being barred from it. Liandrin has to go in without the support of the 3 Red sitters. The doors to the hall are closed, and all the warders and a handful of non-sitter Aes Sedai are left outside while the meeting takes place inside. In the meeting, Liandrin tries to accuse Siuan of breaking tower law by secretly meeting with the banished Moraine, as well as with a man who can channel, Rand, who also declared himself the Dragon Reborn. She says Siuan had him in custody, but then let him escape. Siuan admits that these are charges that should call for Siuan to be deposed, if true. But then she accuses Liandrin of being able to lie, breaking the 3 oaths, because she has joined the Dark One. Nynaeve is then brought in to testify that Liandrin kidnapped her and sold her to the Shan-Chan. And with that, Liandrin knows she's screwed. And now we'll pick up right at this moment in my review. Liandrin goes, "Well, I tried," right before she's about to attack, but that's when Liane and Alana jump into action to shield her. Then Siuan gets really upset and comes off of her throne and says, "You dare to use the one power here against your sisters," raises her up into the air, and I have to say that the wire work has improved a little bit since the first season. And she basically says, "All right, Liandrin, you're going to be tried, stilled, and you're going to give up every member of the Black Aja that you know of before you are killed." You see some of the other sitters turn and look to each other like, should we do something? And then Liandrin gives this horrible line that is just so cheesy. "Join me!" I probably wouldn't have had a line here at all. I think that just those few sisters looking at each other was enough of a hint that they have something in mind that they're going to do, and then they all jump into action once Liandrin's torture reaches a certain level. But The difference between this and in the book is that the Black Aja don't seem to be secretive like they are in the book. There is a lot of coordinating that happens between the Black Aja where they literally have no idea who's giving them orders. They just know, I have to follow this. This is my job. And they would sell each other out. There's definitely some sort of a camaraderie that's being portrayed among the Black Aja here. And I'm not sure if this is going to affect the story in the long run, but for the most part, these women would not step out to help the others because they are in it for themselves. They have sworn their oaths to the Dark One, which allows them to break their 3 oaths to the White Tower. And they don't want that revealed. They want to be the one who rises up in power. That is pretty much the main temptation for every single dark friend that I have read in the books, is they want power. Even Lanfear, who we have seen very much portrayed as somebody who just wants Rand, but her actions don't say that. So we're getting something different here. It's almost like they are doing this for the Dark One and less for themselves. When you make changes like this to a story, you do want to follow the butterfly effect to the end of the whole series and make sure that this sort of thing isn't going to screw up anything further down the road. And I have not, like I said, I've only been on book 6. I've not read all the way to the end of this, but you do have to be careful about this sort of thing. But otherwise, I'm actually okay with perhaps the Black Sisters, they coordinated this, or it was coordinated, they didn't know how. Maybe Leandrin's the one who did it, so that she would have a defense. If anything ever happens to Leandrin, you need to step in and take care of her. But that line was just so awful. By the way, I like Leanne's lunge here. Very elegant. It's almost kind of fencerly. There is a moment where all of the women who come down off of their little thrones and walk to the center of the hall and turn, it looks like something straight off of the runway in New York during Fashion Week. The outfits just look really good. Like, they look excellent in this scene. And I'm not going to mention anything about the sphincter shields, because that's what they look like. It's okay, though. I'm okay with this. I mean, not that they look like sphincters. I'm okay with them looking, unfortunately, like this. But there is something a bit confusing at this point. Why do so many of the other sisters not do anything? Like, first of all, you've got a blue and a gray are able to walk right up to Leanne and Alana and do nothing. I do have lots of problems with the choreography and editing of these fights, and it starts right about here. So you've got the yellow and white Aja ladies throw their attacks. So that's where Alana and Leanne are busy defending Suan. Then you've got a blue and a gray throw their attacks. And again, you have Alana and Leanne protect Suan from that. Then it's after that point that all 4 of the women move to the center of the hall, 2 of them going almost nose to nose with Alana and Leanne. I mean, they just attacked. Why didn't Alana's super quick reflexes as a warrior Aja lady do some sort of a shielding on these women, or some sort of a slice attack, anything? They have attacked you. They are the enemy. And if she is a warrior, she would have reflexes like this. You train your reflexes so that your body can react before you have to plot things out. If you've been attacked, that's an enemy. You have to neutralize them in some way. And Leanne is Suan's bodyguard in this case. At least she's presented this way in the show. So this is something she would be considering as well. She too should have quick defenses. These 2 Aes Sedai who walk right up to her and Alana should never have had the opportunity to get that close and raise shields. I mean, heck, the yellow Aja and the white Aja, they have their backs turned to Leanne and Alana before the red and the gray and the blue even get fully into position to raise their shields. I know that they wanted a battle, but this room is not where a big extensive battle should have happened. What they should have done is the equivalent of a flashbang diversion.
This is not myth.
Incapacitate everybody and then get the hell out of there as fast as you can before the people outside even know what's going on. But if you want to have a battle in here, here's how it should have gone down. The evil yellow, white, blue, and gray should have stood up and simultaneously began attacking. The first ones to go should have been their own sisters to their right and left. That would have immediately taken out 8 other channelers in this room. Then as they're walking out to the center, black, blue, white, and yellow should not have stopped attacking. It should have been a barrage. Let the black gray continue firing at Alana and Leanne, while the black blue takes out the 3 browns. Let the evil black and blue take out the other 2 greens, while the white and yellow continue their barrage on Alana and Leanne. Maybe one of those greens isn't killed and she's able to keep fighting. But as soon as all those browns are down and one of the greens, you can have the blue continuing to help with attacking Leanne and Alana and Suan. Then the white or the yellow can be the one to knock out Suan, which sets Leandrin free. Then the 5 of them link up, cause an explosion, and everybody gets out. But also, yeah, how come none of the other sitters are stepping into action at this point? If a yellow and a white know how to throw attacks like this, how come none of the others do? We've seen that Moraine has the ability to fight. It was the very first episode where we got a showcase, which I really liked that scene, of Moraine fighting the Trollocs. And she was using some pretty strong battle channeling stuff. So it's highly unlikely that there isn't a single other sitter in this room who doesn't know how to do something to either defend themselves or to neutralize somebody who is attacking them. And remember, it started out with 15 women in this room. Right now, only 5 of them are bad guys. So that's 10 other women. Suan and Leandrin are in their little battle, so they are busy. Okay, fine. We've got 4 versus 9. And then we have Nynaeve cannot fight. That's still 4 versus 8. And there are 2 green Aja sitting there doing nothing, watching this happen and not immediately jumping into action. I would assume that they are as strong as Alana, right? Or pretty close to it. And because they are the battle Aja, they should be able to jump into the action immediately when it starts. And there's just too much time that passes between when the bad guys step out and reveal themselves and anything happens. So many of these women just stand there and die, as demonstrated by this poor Brown that gets sliced in half like Darth Maul. My cousin and my sister and I were allowed to skip school and go see that movie in theaters, and when Darth Maul's body split as he fell down that tunnel thing, we cracked up. We were the only ones in the theater laughing our asses off at that scene. It never looks good on screen. I'm sorry, it never looks good. Don't do it. Before we continue, please like, subscribe, and comment, even if it's just with an emoji. It's a free way for you to support the channel, and for me, it might bring in some money from all the commercials they keep putting on my videos. Or if you're feeling super generous, check out my Patreon or Ko-fi. I've got links in the description. Or you can hit the money heart thanks button down below. Now, let's get back to it. So sitters everywhere are falling like flies, and then somebody slices the pillars that are right over Nynaeve, who's trying to channel but can't, and she gets knocked out. On the outside, we can see that Yvonne and Maxime are pounding on the door trying to get in. How come none of the other Aes Sedai who are in the room with them bust down the door? This is why you should have had one of the Aes Sedai inside that room, one of the bad ones, seal the door, because this does look silly. Oh wait, now I get it. It's because all of the Aes Sedai have run away. They heard the chaos going on in that room and they scattered. But anyway, shouldn't some of these warders be going berserk right now? Their Aes Sedai are right in the other room being slaughtered. We took an entire episode in season 1 to showcase that if your Aes Sedai dies, you go nuts on a killing spree, or you want to kill yourself, or both. This could have easily been solved with a single shot of one of those warders feeling his Aes Sedai die, and the others reacting to that. I don't know, maybe the fight's not going so bad. So the red Ajas show up, and Yvonne and Maxim are taking charge of the situation. But there's literally nothing that they could do against Aes Sedai who want to get past them. So it's in vain. Where did the other Aes Sedai go?
It was like that scene in Ratatouille when the humans come in the kitchen and all the rats go in different ways. We all ran in different directions.
You could have saved this moment by having the warders tell the Aes Sedai, like, you need to go, like, you need to be safe from this. That would have been such a weak save, but why aren't they there? Then we do have this cool shot of the camera circling around the bad guys, just kicking ass all around. It's Very special effects heavy. I mean, okay, it's a magic battle, so whatever. But then we've got Liandrin and Suan locked in some sort of a battle with each other with their magic, and I thought that Liandrin had just been shielded. I don't find it likely that Suan, who can, with a flick of her wrist, subdue Rand, who was described as being so powerful he could defeat anybody. Remember, that's what Logain said. With that kind of power, you could take on anybody. How is this struggle even happening? Unless Liandrin's been given special powers by the Dark One, but that information has not been conveyed to the audience. Losing track of who is more powerful than who is not good because it makes fights like this unbelievable. One of the 4 evil sisters launches a boulder at Suan and that knocks her out. And that's when we've got Alana coming over to Suan and Leanne turning her back to the enemy. There is nobody to stop those 4 enemies from taking out both Alana and Leanne, and then of course Suan, who's laying on the floor. You never turn your back to an enemy, and fight choreographers know this. So I'm guessing that they were told we need to have this moment happen here. But somebody should have figured out some way to neutralize all of the 4 so that they could have this moment if they were going to have it at all, or just have a glance like, oh my gosh, but she sits up her head, Suan sits her head up and they know that she's still alive, so they're able to continue shielding her. But no, we're going to drop everything. The only 2 people fighting the bad guys at this point. We're going to drop everything and we're going to turn our backs on the enemy who is already kicking our ass and take care of Suan. And we cut back to Varen, Adelace, and Naomi, and Naomi's like, dude, we should go back to the hall and protect the Amerlin. Something's happening. And Varen's like, nope, we're going here. We are helping, believe me. And she tells her we're going to like a secret repository that apparently nobody thought existed, but these 2 sisters did know about it. So she creates a door in a stone wall, and we see a room. It is well lit with torches, but okay. This is a continuity issue. Somebody on that set should have been like, wait, if nobody's been in there, how about the torches aren't lit? But she opens up the thing and then we see her do something else that makes all the torches light. There you go, simple. That would have been so easy, and it kind of would have looked cool because you could have had them looking into this dark room and then you see her send out these little trails of channeling and the torches light up and suddenly this big room is illuminated and you can see there's all these cool things in there. That's what I would have done. Little tiny tweaks like this can fix the small problems. And when you have a lot of small problems, they get at you. After a point, there's too many and you can't tolerate any problems. So get rid of as many of them as you possibly can. Again, I still wouldn't have had the line of, I thought this place didn't exist. Just get in there and then have her recognize what it is. Oh my gosh, it's this or something. I don't know. Telling us that something exists and then showing it to us is so redundant. But Varen says that their job is going to be to protect these items in this room because she's like, I cannot protect all of these by myself and they're too valuable. They were safer with nobody knowing what was in there. We get back to Maxim and Yvonne outside of the hall, and they're still facing those 3 Red Aja who I don't believe for a second would just stand there while a bunch of warders say you cannot pass. They would just sweep them all aside. But here's another thing that bugs me. You've got 3 Red Aja, and then suddenly a green and a yellow show up with 2 of the green's warders with her, and the green immediately attacks one of these Red Aes Sedai and knocks her out. She's off the board. So there should be 2 Red Aja left. But there isn't. There's just 1. So what happened to the other one?
He grabbed a 40, smashed it on the ground, and yelled, "Scatter!"
This is just very sloppy. I mean, I don't understand what happened to this 3rd Aes Sedai lady. And it would have taken a split second to just have the yellow attack the other red. Like, you get 2 of them out of the way at the same time. So then that's why you're left with just 1. Something like this wouldn't bother me as much if I wasn't finding so many of them. If it was just this one thing in the whole entire fight, I'd be like, oh well, the rest of it was great. Where's your script supervisor? I really like this actress playing this green Aja because this is actually how I would imagine the Aes Sedai looking in general. Like, they should all look much younger than they actually look. Like, they should look like they have not even started to age yet. That's how they're described in the book. Because the one power kind of keeps you perpetually looking young. This is how I imagined all of the Aes Sedai kind of looking. like maybe at oldest in their mid-30s. So Maxim and Yvonne think that this green Aja gal has showed up to help, and she's like, no, and immediately attacks the one red Aja, who is able to defend herself. And then when the green Aja gal's 2 warders step forward to assist in this attack, the red Aja gal takes both of them out immediately. And the red Aja gal says, I've killed your warders and I can kill you too. But there's a pause in the action and we see that the green is absorbing, she's feeling the death of her warders and enjoying it. And even comments like, oh, it's so good.
Oh, God.
I'll have what she's having.
And the green starts attacking, and I actually kind of like that you have the red defending the warders. I don't think she's intentionally defending them, but that's the image that you get here. Kind of ironic. But where are the other Aes Sedai that were just hanging around outside of the hall? Where'd they go? We're back in the repository, and Varen is saying, Mother has asked us to protect all of these things no matter who comes for us or what happens. You can see what looks like a Shan Chan bracelet and collar. Something that looks like a small, almost like a dice of some kind. I'm wondering if it's this weird little box thing, but I don't think so. And then we have these red arches, which are going to play a much bigger part in the story later on. I have a feeling it's going to happen in this season here instead of in Tyr. So these red arches aren't supposed to be here. They're supposed to be in a completely different city, but they're going to do this scene here. And I mean, I guess this is where you would have something rare like this kept. I mean, I'm not against this unless there's something that's going to break the lore and screw up things that are about to happen later on in the story because these arches are here. Basically what we need to do is get Moraine and Matt to go into those arches. And then Naomi has her little villain's monologue, which is not really a monologue, but revealing yourself before attacking is, it never comes across as mature writing on the screen. So don't do it. Don't have your villain go doing this. She does something to attack both Varen and Adelace's brains. You can see that Varen is able to kind of cut it off halfway, but Adelace is too slow. She was daydreaming about putting that collar and cuff on Lan, probably. So Adelace collapses. You can see that Varen sort of notices this and then collapses also. Definitely she's faking. And we get that reveal later. But Naomi goes around after they're unconscious and takes several of the items in this room. She grabs some sort of a figurine, and then she grabs the cuff. It's very bulky as is. We're back in the Great Hall. You can see a yellow healing Liandrin, and you've got Alana and Leanne have jumped back into the action. They take out at least one of the bad sisters, while a yellow has come to the rescue of Siuan and is healing her. So there's 2 yellows healing those 2. I do actually really like that you've got Leanne twirling her staff and she smashes a white in the head, and then she makes sure to double and triple tap that because you have to. So I approve of this kill. So the bad guys are down by 1. We had 5 in there, now there's just 4. Then Liandrin and Siuan both get up, and for a brief moment, nobody is attacking the black. Nobody. We didn't see Alana get taken out. We didn't see Leanne get taken out. There's just a pause in the action, and Liandrin goes, link with me. And the 3 join up with her and, give her their power. Well, they channel for her. You get the idea. They link. Liandrin gets to go Super Saiyan. And Alana and Leanne use their bodies to shield Siuan instead of putting up a shield. And that's when Liandrin does like an explosion of air, like we saw Egwene doing earlier in last season when she was with her Suldam. The doors to the hall are busted open, and we can see outside that the 2 bad sisters are still there, but it looks like all the warders are down. Even if they aren't, if there's just 2, why are there 2? If you've got the 2 bad sisters and they are willing to kill anybody, why would they not have killed these 2 warders? Whatever, okay. I mean, they would not have a chance against channelers, especially one of them being green. But 2 of the warders go flying, and they may have been laying on the ground dead and just go flying, I don't know, or they may have been up. One of them looks like he could be Maxime, but the other guy is definitely not Yvonne because this guy has hair. It is unusual that both Maxim and Yvonne, as soon as the doors to the hall blew open, they weren't rushing in there. Like, if they weren't unconscious on the ground, what were they doing? Did they run away and abandon Alana in the hall? Outside, we're back with Moraine and Lan, and even though they walked off after that one scene with them earlier, they're back in the same spot again, and they're looking up at the tower, and there are plumes of fire and smoke coming out from it. So everybody know that the shit has hit the fan in there. So the 4 baddies come out of the hall, and they join up with the 2 that were outside, and she goes, quick, get to the docks, and they're off, taken off. Back in the hall, we can see that Alana, Leanne, one other yellow, and Suan, they've all kind of fallen and huddled together, and they're just sitting up after this explosion. Now remember, they didn't have any kind of shield up, so they were just slammed into the throne. They all kind of get up, dazed, and you can see around the room that basically the same thing's happening all around. Some of them are just barely coming to their feet. And Alana wonders aloud, like, how can so many be sworn to the dark? And after a moment of coming to her senses, Suan goes, find them, split up. We can't let them leave the city. So remember, the bad guys, the Black Aja, have raced out of there. They're able to move. They're not nearly as injured as these guys, but these guys were just blown off their feet, slammed into the throne, and they get up and they pause before Suan basically says, you gotta go and stop them. And we get a quick check-in with Varen and Adelaise. We can see that Varen is basically okay, even though she's got blood coming from her nose, but Adelaise does not even recognize who she is. Varen's hair, by the way, is glorious. How did she get that perfect swirl? She must have channeled her hair into position, because I struggle with mine. Like, I'm constantly doing this sort of thing. And then we cut to Naomi coming out of some side street and joining up with the other 6 that have just come out of the tower. Now, I did not notice this, but this is actually a very good continuity error, and this is why you should have multiple editors looking at your script before you go to print, or before you put it in the can, in this case, or even get on set to film it, really. But Naomi comes out and joins up with Leandrin, and Leandrin asks Naomi, did you get it? And I'm assuming that they're talking about the cuff and the collar. They're going to use this to restrain and control Rand. That's the plan. They haven't said it in the episode, but that's what it is. But Naomi did not know that she was going to be taken to this secret room. It was purely by chance that it happened. And yet, Leandrin asks Naomi, did you get it? Like, this was part of the plan. You're going to get these items. She didn't know where this room was, or she would have gone there herself to get it before. And being brought there to do this was Varen's idea. So how did she know that Varen was going to come to her with these instructions? Like, where did that information come from? How did it get from... I imagine it goes from Suan to Varen, and they probably told nobody. But if they did, who? And who told Leandrin who told Naomi? Again, this is a thing I would maybe overlook if it was the only problem, but it's not the only problem, and so this bothers me. Then we get to this street battle that just boggles my mind. Who thought that this is the smartest way to do this scene? It does make Alana look like, oh, she's such a, noble and badass fighter, but it's not practical. It's not realistic. And yeah, I say that even in a fantasy, because in a fantasy, you have to stick within the rules and expectations that are laid out in your story. Now, in this story, we had 4 sisters, 3 of whom survived against a 5-9 battle. 5-9. And there were 3 good greens in that battle, right? Plus you've got Leandrin. So you've got those. And then added to their little posse here is Jane. I think it was Jane. Whatever. The cute green one. So she's a green also. And we know she's vicious. And yet Alana steps out in front of them. And I don't know how she got there. She teleported there because the math ain't math in here.
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
7 baddies who are way more powerful than all of these other Aes Sedai before, coming for Alana, who is now by herself. First off, in this situation, if I was the baddies, I would have immediately scattered and come at Alana from different angles.
Scatter!
That would have solved the problem immediately. But if I was Alana in this case, let's say we have to have this battle happen here. First of all, I maybe wouldn't have had her in the tower, like in the hall, because her appearing here is just weird. Have her outside with her warders and like, hey, we are backup in case things go wrong or something. I don't know. But okay, so we're here in this situation. And it has to happen. We have to have Alana versus all of them. If she really is a battle commander, like she's used to orchestrating battles, she should know one versus all of these is not going to happen. If we wanted to showcase Alana as being smart, because showing her off as badass is not believable. And they have to break a lot of rules of fighting in order to make her win. And it's so contrived. But if we wanted to show her being like, wow, she's a clever fighter in addition to being powerful, she would be attacking these Aes Sedai guerrilla style. She would be using displacement tactics. That's where from a hidden location, she is able to attack them, picking them off one at a time as they are leaving. So she can reduce their numbers until it's a small enough number that she can step out and fight them. Or maybe she's only able to take off a few of them before she gets to the far side and is like, okay, I don't have room to continue taking out a few of them at a time. I need to just get out and face them until hopefully help comes. And there's all kinds of cool, smart stuff that she could be doing. Like, okay, the first thing that she could do what we see later on in here, which is have some sort of a chunk of a building fall on them. Take out one or two there, okay? Then she can get ahead of them again, and she can cause something above them to happen again, like maybe an explosion or whatever, something. And as the Ajas, the evil ones, are looking up because, they're raising their defenses up because they don't want to have something fall on them again, that was just a diversion. And what she does is she splits the street beneath them and then crushes it in on some of them again. And that could take out maybe some more. We started with 7, so maybe we're down to like 5, right? Then what you can do is have her warders come out, and they are behind the Black Aja. Like, they were waiting for the Black Aja to get to a certain point, and Alana jumps out in front and starts attacking. They've got their defenses up against Alana, but the warders, who are now behind the Black Aja, jump into action and take out 2 more. I mean, there are ways to cleverly reduce the number of your enemy like this. Like, this is what you would do in this situation. Because I just don't believe 1 Aes Sedai versus 7 who just kick the asses of everybody in the tower. And I'm sorry, but her warders are going to be useless in a battle against other Aes Sedai. They are there to protect their own personal Aes Sedai from enemies who get close to that Aes Sedai. Like, that's what they are there for. Anybody who slips through. So you have to find some way to get your warders close to them. That's when those Aes Sedai are going to be vulnerable, because anybody further away, I mean, they could just raise up a bunch of rocks and shoot them out like bullets and take out both the warders. There's no way that the warders can dodge the spray of a machine gun, and that's what these Aes Sedai are capable of doing. Alana blasts some tiles up for some reason, and it's to blind them, but you got Liandrin able to throw a fire blast at Alana, and Alana flips like forward somersault over this fire blast. I actually don't have a problem with her doing this if she had used the 1 power to propel herself up and over that. But it is pretty ridiculous that she does this massive flip. Like, this is the Matrix style flip. I also don't believe for a second that Alana is way faster than her warders. She's in a dress and heels, and they are dressed for combat, running straight at the enemy, and yet she flips and gets ahead of her warders. Again, she should have channeled in order to have this burst of extra speed or whatever. Okay, but then we get to a thing that I don't believe. So you've got Alana racing towards them and the 2 warders racing towards them. And we do see that, well, first of all, Liandrin was able to shoot off that firebolt, but the other Aja ladies, they're all sitting up and winding up to attack. And the warders are able to run right up to them and skewer them. But these women were earlier able to make very quick attacks inside the hall. So why are they slow now? And it's for convenience's sake. And it looks like they're also summoning like whips and stuff. And I'm like, why not discs of air that slice, like the ones that took out the pillars that smashed Nynaeve? During all of this, Naomi's backed herself out of the danger. Why hasn't she done her brain attack like she did to Alana and Varen? She should be neutralizing the warders right now, but she's not. She's just staring. There are at least 2 instances where you are shown a character about to do something, and then it cuts. And the next cut is that character not even starting to do the thing that they were last seen doing. They're back here, and then we see them redo it. And it's very jarring to see that. And you cannot follow the action unless you slow it down and watch. So you're supposed to come away from this with the impression that they were just so fast that they were able to do this like that. But again, I don't believe it unless I can see, like, how did they use their wits to make this happen? They're just super fast and super powerful, and that's it. But you also have moments where the warders have their backs to Aes Sedai, who are just standing there doing nothing. Like, there are literally moments where the warders are running like this, and Aes Sedai get out of their way, like, around them to let them pass. And this is done so that they can get to the other side of Liandrin and stab her through the chest. And I'm wondering what the heck was the green Aja gal doing, because she's a warrior too, and the way she gets taken out is Alana grabs her and hurls her, and you see her tumble, but she gets up. Where'd she go? Was she not trained for battle like Alana was trained for battle? I mean, she's a green Aja. She's supposed to be a warrior. Her reflexes should have been kicking in at some point. She should have, if she ever could have been grabbed and thrown, she gets up and immediately turns to attack, but she doesn't. She turns to look. I mean, if you've just been thrown to the ground by people who are trying to kill you, you don't stand up and look around. You shield yourself as you're standing up. But I mean, like, okay, I actually like that Naomi just kind of scooted out of the way and let everybody else die and then turned and went, Anyway, so Maxim and Yvonne get behind Leandra and stab her through. I mean, she's through the heart and through the sternum, and then they pull out their blades and are about to chop her in half, but a yellow sister and the green sister block their blades. And Alana's just standing there staring at these blades being blocked. She doesn't do anything. I don't like that it takes her so long to react to things happening in combat. But she finally notices that there are two sisters right next to her, and she metaphorically pulls the rug out from under them. Well, she magics the rug out from under them. And they fall. And again, Alana just stands there. They actually step away from Liandrin to watch her as a yellow comes up to her and starts healing her. And then Naomi steps out and creates a shield. I gotta say, the smartest ones in this fight were Naomi and this one blue Aja gal. They just like slipped away and like let the action happen. They just kind of sit there reacting to it instead of engaging, even though one of them was just in that huge battle in the hall and definitely should have done something. I mean, if they had engaged, though, they would have beaten Alana and the warders, like, no question. Then we cut to Suan and two of her gals. Like, they're storming through the city. She's like, we gotta get to where Alana is. She signaled from the gate. And then you have two sisters pop out here. And I'm going, these two ladies were in the Great Hall. Why weren't they with the other blacks, like, leaving? What happened? I definitely remember this bald lady being in there. I'm not sure if this shorter lady was in there. I don't know. But where were they? Everybody who was in the Great Hall and out in the hallway, you know, just outside of the Great Hall are accounted for. They are facing off with Alana. So who are where'd they come from? This isn't good. When you take characters who are supposed to be in one place and put them somewhere else for convenience's sake, or you have characters who are supposed to be engaged in a battle and they have proven that they know how to engage in a battle, and they just like, we're not going to do anything and step aside so that way your good guys can win, you have not made your good guys look strong. You have made your bad guys look weak, or at least illogical. Anyway, these two take out Suan's two helpers by just obliterating their brains, I guess. And then they seem to shield Suan. We go back to the fight with Alana and the warders, and you can see that, well, Leandrin's gotten up. I don't know why Alana allowed Liandrin to get healed. Like, just kill her. And the warders are fighting the other Aes Sedai, and there should be no competition here at all. The Aes Sedai should be just kicking their asses. In one case, you have Yvonne versus two Aes Sedai. He's slicing towards one, and then there's another one over here, and instead of this one cutting Yvonne in half, like was happening in the White Tower, she aims her power at his sword that is already being shielded by the other Aes Sedai. It's so weird. Alana is in a one-on-one with Liandrin, and she walks up to her like this and grabs her around the neck, creates an air spear, and it looks like she's about to do something, but instead you've got Liandrin powering towards her, not with magic power, but literally just marching like a steam engine towards Alana, who's aiming an air spear at her face. Why did Alana just stand there screaming at her instead of going like this? Or shoot her in the face. Instead, Leandrin blasts Alana. Alana gets thrown and knocked out onto the ground. While that was happening, we could see that Yvonne was still in his power hold against those two other Aes Sedai. I mean, he was only trying to slice one of them. Why didn't the spare just take him out? I don't know. I mean, same thing with Maxime. He's attacking towards two Aes Sedai, but he only needs to attack at one of them. I mean, one of them can hold him and the other one can come around. One warder against two Aes Sedai does not make sense. Explain to me how that makes sense. And we're not witnessing a battle of speed and skill, we are seeing a battle of force. So are the Aes Sedai only as powerful as half a man with a sword? Because remember, he's holding off two of them. They're only half as powerful with their power as a man with no power and just a sword. Anyway, all of the Black Aja are able to knock out their respective warders and Alana, and right before they leave through the gate, which I think Leandrin blasted open, it wasn't really clear, they didn't really show her doing anything, she levitates one of the warder's swords, I'm guessing Yvonne's, and is about to shoot it into Alana, but of course the two warders dive over towards Alana to protect her, one to shield her with his body, and Yvonne to throw himself in front of the sword, which gets him instead. The music is so tragic. After Leandrin and the bad guys have left, Alana and Maxime get up and like, oh my gosh, I can't feel him. And Alana climbs over to Yvonne and he's dead. Very sad violin. I mean, I actually approve of music in the movies amplifying the emotion. It can be very effective. I have to laugh though. I just don't understand why at any point any of those Black Aja didn't throw those razor blade discs at these people, because they would not have been able to protect themselves, especially if you got two Aes Sedai going after one warder, one to draw his defense and the other to take advantage of the opening, because a man with a blade can only defend one area at a time. Back at Siuan being shielded by these two Black Aja, they are struggling. She is getting free. Now, before, they were shocked that you would have to have two Aes Sedai to shield one person, and that was with Logain. But I guess we did show that Siuan is stronger than the dragon himself, because she was able to, and he couldn't get out. Anyway, the bald Aes Sedai is like, I can't hold her, and then the yellow is like, screw what Leandrin wants, we just have to finish her, and so they're gonna kill her. She does this thing, and it makes this tower fall. The boulders are about to smash Siuan, but suddenly the boulders stop, mid-air, just levitating. And we get one of them going, how did she? And the other going, she didn't, she's still shielded. You don't need to say this. We can tell, we can see. Who thought that nobody could figure that out just from watching what was going on? Anyway, Siuan busts out of her shield and kills the two bad guys. She turns around and sees there is Moraine. It was Moraine who stopped the rocks from falling on her. They share a silent exchange of meaningful looks, which I actually like. But then Moraine walks away, the boulders fall, not on Siuan, but on the ground, and that's the end of that. Siuan just lets her go. I really don't see a reason why they shouldn't have talked at this point, except that it's convenient to have them not talk. I mean, Moraine just saved her life, and then we don't see Siuan looking for Moraine in the city after this point. Like, she knows she's here. Why isn't she out there looking for her after this? And she must know that she's with Rand, because that's where she left them. She left Moraine with Rand at the Waygate in the previous season. That was the last time Siuan saw them. So if Moraine is there, Rand is definitely there as well. And both Moraine and Siuan would know that they both are aware of this now. Look, I'm annoyed at this because this has gone to print. This has gone to screen, I guess you could say. This has been filmed, edited, and put up on screen for people to watch. It should have, at this point, gone through so many stages of editing. Somebody should have been there to bring up these flaws. And there are ways to fix little things here. You didn't have to have Moraine reveal herself here. It comes to nothing later in this episode, and Moraine leaves at the end of it. She could have just saved Siuan, and we know, maybe we get to zoom out and we see that Moraine was concealing herself somewhere, saving Siuan, but Siuan never knows who saved her. That could have fixed this scene, but they wanted to have them share this look for some reason. And it ruins the secrecy of the dragon being in the city. which is a really huge deal, not only to Moraine, but to Rand himself, because the last time he saw Siuan, she was determined to shield him permanently so that they could let him be unshielded whenever they needed him as a weapon. Like, he doesn't want to be in that situation. And then we come to Lan in the White Tower without Moraine. I don't know why the two of them didn't go to the tower to see what the hell was going on. I mean, they saw explosions happening. They know that something very bad has happened. They should have both gone to the tower, but for some reason, they didn't. Moraine, I don't know, maybe she did and she saw Siuan leaving and then followed Siuan secretly, but Lan would have stayed with her, aware that there was something bad that happened. But no, they have split up. Remember, Lan, no matter how much he loves Nynaeve, which is why he's here to go see if Nynaeve is okay, no matter how much he loves her, his instinct would first be to protect Moraine. That's the whole point of the bond. Unless the bond's not that strong, in which case, why do warders kill themselves when their Aes Sedai gets killed? I guess the bond is not that strong. I just wouldn't have had this happen. It turns out Nynaeve is okay. She's obviously hurt, and that's the end of the cold open. Okay, I've said everything I have to say about it. I've said way more than I planned on saying. Oh my gosh, I knew this was gonna happen. It's hard for me to keep my mouth shut. It is my job to be a perfectionist in storytelling. In every possible way I can imagine something being fixed, I have to mention it. That's why people hire me, to help them with their stories. I should not be finding this many flaws in the first, what do we got here? I'm at minute 18. We should not be finding this many flaws with this episode at this point. Where was the editor? See, in season 1, mistakes like this happened a lot. By season 2, I saw a little less of it. But this is season 3. The scenes by themselves should at least be good on their own. The way Brandon Sanderson describes how this was written and then shot is just ridiculous. But even with that, by themselves, the scenes should have still come out okay. But this was not okay. At this level of production, I shouldn't be finding this many issues. This was a battle you would find like in a Marvel movie, but maybe not even as good as that. The thing is with superheroes, people tend to pay attention to what their limitations are and like to see them take advantage of the weaknesses of their enemy, use their limitations against them with a full awareness of what their own limits are. I have a really bad headache. I can't believe I still have 47 more minutes of this show to edit. Well, I should stop. I need to at least take a break before I go on. So this might be the first thing that I put out, just a critique of the first scene thingy of this episode, and then the rest will come out in a few days. But I'll be filming it right now. I just need to go take a break and make sure that I take some Advil so my head doesn't kill me through the next 47 minutes. But I would like to say a big special thank you to all of my patrons who have supported me, because without them, it would not be possible for me to do this channel. I need to have some sort of monetary compensation, and Amazon has been going back and retroactively claiming the content that I show of their show in my videos. Even though I manipulate the hell out of them, they definitely have the right to do that. It's annoying that they don't tell you explicitly what the rules are. I would love to work within the rules, if only the rules would be laid out so I can know what they are and follow them. Instead, they don't tell you what the limitations are. You try to do what everybody says the rules are, and you still get copyright claims. So thank you to my patrons. Also, a special thank you to Disparu, who was kind enough to send me a long list of things that he does to his videos so that he can get past copyright claims. I have started using all of those, and it is helping me get past the copyright claims. And he's big enough that if I send people over there, it won't even put a blip on his viewership. But, you know, go give him a like. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, and comment, even if it's just with an emoji. It's a free way for you to support this channel, and I need all the support I can get. Or if you're feeling super generous and you have the means, check out my Patreon, Ko-fi, or hit the money heart thanks button down below. You can become a subscriber, or you can leave a one-time tip. And as I said, any help is appreciated. Be good to yourself.